My point being that people just don't grow up overnight. Society doesn't.
It does.
Law raise them.
But for God's sakes, it's time. It's 400 fucking years that we've dealt with this.
Oh.
And our country still has not taken responsibility or accountability.
For what?
For the history of the systemic racism that's in this country.
What should we do more?
Well, I mean, for one thing, critical race theory, I think, is essential to be teaching.
It depends on what you mean by that.
Well, I mean teaching how the race trade and racism is systemic in everything we've done in government, in social activities.
Yes, it has been.
I mean, it's embedded in it.
It's like, for example, why the Second Amendment really was, I mean, this is one person's theory, but I think it's the truth. The Second Amendment really has to do with, in a country where you were keeping hostile people in chains,
Yeah.
you needed guns you needed very loose reins on guns to keep the lid on that.
Yeah.
So that has a lot to do with why other countries don't have like a Second Amendment, the way we do.
And we didn't have an organized army. We didn't have an organized militia, so you had to form one quickly and be able to get your arms quickly when we were being attacked.
Exactly.
So,
but critical race theory can mean it's just one of these catch-all terms. If you mean we should honestly teach our past, of course. If you mean more what the 1619 book says, which is that it's just the essence of America and that we are irredeemable, that's just wrong. It's not.
I mean,
okay. All
right. I agree with that. But even teaching our past and being honest and owning up to who we are as a country and the history of it.
Most schools are doing that. I mean, I'm sure there are ones in Texas that are not.
Look, in Florida, they want to do away with critical race theory, and a lot of other states.
Because sometimes it veers off into things that are really not appropriate in schools.
So how do you govern that?
If you're telling 5-year-olds that you're either an oppressor or someone who was oppressed, you're introducing ideas about race that are inappropriate for kids that age who can't understand it.
Okay, so common sense would govern
Common sense
that.
is what's lacking in this country. That is why people wind up passing laws about that. And yes, you're right. Very often the laws go too far. But it's not coming from nothing. It's coming from things that have started in colleges and very far left woke thinking that many people feel is not appropriate in schools. I mean, the same thing with gender stuff. You know, can they just be kids for a minute?
Right.
Okay.
And that's absolutely. And we have to find that time, that level of maturity when a child can understand that at certain times in this country's history, there was a grave mistreatment of other human beings.
I think we get that.
Well, no, we don't get it. What do you mean you get it?
Really? You think that is not something that is now widely understood and agreed?
Yeah, it's definitely not widely understood.
That America has a sorry racist past?
It's talked about and whispered, but they don't know it.
Whispered?
Yes. The Jim Crow laws? So
that's 100 years
Emancipation
ago.
Proclamation
I know.
in 1865. It was 1965 or in 1964 when the Civil Rights Act was passed by LBJ.
But this is 2023.
It took 100 years.
I know, but
is my point.
Can we live in the year we're living in? You don't think?
Of course you live in the year you're living in.
Okay, well, the year we're living in is not.
Drive me to drink.
It's not what you're describing. You're describing in America, yes, that I think most right-thinking people would agree was deplorable in so many ways. No, I'm good.
You good?
It's tasty, though.
It is good.
It's very different, and I like it.
It's a little smoky, but not
because
too
it's
smoky.
mezcal.
It's mezcal and not tequila, because it's smoked and not steamed. Yeah. Anyway, what were we arguing about?
Well, probably the Golden Globes, which you sound like you should be making.
Hello.
No, I just think we need to live in the year we're living in, and acknowledging progress is not saying the past isn't horrible or that we're done and there's no more work to be done. It's just being realistic about where we are today. And where we are today is nothing like the times you're describing, as bad as they were. So I mean, this is,
Right.
I think, a problem with a lot of the left. They seem to be obsessed on the past. The past is important. It's not
Then
the
teach
only
it.
thing.
They teach it like the Holocaust.
Again,
You
I
want to be
think
able to
most
teach it.
places do teach it. There are places.
No.
There are places that go too far on either side. Can we agree with that? But I bet you most places in America. I mean, again, this is 2023. The people who are doing the teaching are of a generation that is not mostly interested in suppressing the past or being racist. I mean,
I disagree with that.
Well, then you don't watch a lot of the videos that they themselves post.
They themselves.
Teachers and educators, trust me, they're hyper aware of race. If anything, it is injected too much into everything. But you sound like you're more in the Hollywood woke camp, and
I'm not
that's
saying
fine.
that.
It doesn't mean we have to.
No, it's like it's a humanistic camp. I want. Did you know when you were a child? Did you know that segregation was all through?
Again, when I was a child, was the 60s.
Yeah.
This is 2023.
When
you keep
when
going
the-
back to like
Yeah, but
how
Bill,
it was,
it's
and as
still
if the same
present.
people. It is still, of course. You know what? Racism is always going to be present in not just white people, but in all people, to a certain degree. You can't completely sanctify human nature. It's just what it is. It's tainted. We try to extirpate it as much as we possibly can, but we can't. Certainly, it's a great thing that we've passed most of the laws that you would need. I mean, discrimination is illegal, has been for a very long time. Obviously, it'll always be fought in the courts and so forth. But I mean, as opposed to these errors you're talking about, when it wasn't even the law. Jim Crow, yes. Before the Civil Rights Act, yes. But that's a long time ago.
So,
and you seem to think that the country in 2023 is populated by seething racists who are unaware of our past and the obligation we have to do better.
I do agree that there are people who want to move forward without looking at the past. And when you move forward without looking at the past and course correcting, you're in trouble because it can happen again.
Well, can't we do both? Can't we
let me
be
ask you a
cognizant
question.
of the past
Yes,
and move forward?
Yes, you can. Let me ask you a
and
question.
acknowledge the present also.
And let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
When you look at this guy's hat, Make America Great Again, what do you think about that?
Sweetheart, nobody has made more fun of Donald Trump than I have.
I know.
So
I'm just
you
asking
can't
you-
get me on like, I like Donald Trump. I
I'm
don't
not
like
saying
that.
that.
Okay.
I'm not saying
and
that.
I get your point. I've said it myself. Yes, make America great again. I understand to a certain number of people that's a dog whistle about America was better when it was whiter. I get that. Okay.
But I will. Would you then also accept that there's a large swath of people in his camp and other people like him who have no clue that that's a dog whistle, that they think, oh yeah, make America great again is for everyone. But when was it great? Let me ask you this. I know, oh God.
I mean,
making a big sigh. Come on.
No.
When was it great for African Americans in this country? When was it great?
Well, if you're applying for college now, I would say now.
So in our history, now it's great.
I didn't say great. It's never great for anybody fully.
Well, never great for anybody?
Well, life is full of problems. So great, yes, if your life is great, you're very lucky. Most people would not say my life is great. Would you say your life is great?
Yes, I would.
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
I would.
yeah. I mean,
and a lot of it has.
I'm glad for you.
And I've been privileged.
Yes.
Do you believe in white privilege?
I like the word advantage better. Because advantage is broader. Here's the reason why. When you say advantage, now, have I had advantages, especially growing up in, being again, we were born the same year, 1956. If you're born in that year, yes, you were a young person in the 80s, probably in the 80s, You know, could like I have been up for a job at a comedy club when I was working little comedy clubs, and there was a black comedian, and they gave it to me instead because they thought I would do better being a white comedian, or that they were just maybe had racism in them. Yes, I think that probably could have happened, and that was wrong. Again, I didn't do it. I mean, we can't all
I'm not
be
saying you're doing it. It's
No,
just
no, no.
recognizing that it exists.
I don't think I should be even questioned that I'm someone who doesn't recognize that it exists.
Right.
I have a pretty good record of speaking on the right side of civil rights issues. I just like to be real about where we are. And where we are is not where we were. And some people seem literally reluctant. It seems like they feel like the worse I think things are, the better person I am. That's what I get from a lot of the left, you know. I think things are worse than you do, so that's what makes me good. And like, I just want the reality. I just want the truth. What is the truth of the situation? And again, I'm not decrying that these changes are made. I'm applauding it. I'm applauding it that it's great that if you're a black kid applying to college, you don't have to face discrimination like they used to. And very often those colleges and businesses also in America are trying to make up for their sorry past.
I think we're not really far apart. I think it's I mean, yes, are there factions that are on both extremes? Of course. But to say you're a liberal person, as I would consider myself, I think common sense is the law of the land. It's what should be. I think we are in a much better place than we've ever been before, as far as civil rights, as far as acceptance and
it's just, you know, the people who are running the world now are millennials and Gen Zs. They're not, I think you're thinking of your generation, and they are still in place in some places. They're certainly not all racists who are in place, but yeah, there are, you know, like I said, I don't know if we'll ever get rid of it completely, like any human flaw, but the people who are running things, you know, I just don't think that's their mindset is, let's be racist to people of color.
They don't understand it, but they are innately that way.
Innately?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
No.
What have you been reading?
Oh, babe. You know, come on.
Is that white fragility or some bullshit like that?
No, it's not white fragility.
Well, that's the book.
No.
Is that where you're getting that
no,
from?
No.
But innately, like original sin, like we're toxically white, born racist?
Not toxically, but you recognize your experience, and what we don't recognize often is the privilege that you said, the advantage that you have. We look at Congress. Look at the makeup of Congress. You cannot deny that as older white men are the predominant factor in Congress.
I don't have the stats in front of me, but there's plenty of people in color in Congress. And yes, we are moving from a place where it was all white. We get it.
Yes.
But what direction is it going? And I'd like to see the numbers in Congress. Certainly in the Democratic Party, I bet you they're at least representative percentage-wise.
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Less so in the Republican Party. Yeah. But I have to tell you, Republicans are doing better and better all the time with people of color.
I hope so.
Because the woke shit actually doesn't help any black people. See, to me, this is the difference between liberalism and wokeism. Liberalism is about lifting people up. Woke is just about self-loathing and hating yourself and scolding everybody and virtue signaling. It doesn't actually help anybody.